Welcome students. Happy morning to all. Today we are going to discuss about another topic, that is another cell organelle in your first lesson of 9th class, that is mitochondria. By hearing the word mitochondria, you people may think that it indicates singular, but it not indicates singular. It is a plural word. Means mitochondria means many cell organelles. Okay, if you want to talk about only one cell organelle, then you have to use the word mitochondrion. If you want to observe the mitochondria under microscope, you people have to use electron microscope. Okay, for this we have to follow one activity. For this activity, you people need a solution called as Jonas Green-Bee solution. You people have to take 200 milligrams of Jonas Green-Bee and add that 200 milligrams of Jonas Green-Bee into water, 100 ml of water. Mix it well and take little amount of this solution into a watch glass and place cheek cells. I told you already how to take a specimen of cheek cell. In the same manner, you have to collect the sample of cheek cell and you have to place the cheek cell in this solution which we prepared with Jonas Green-Bee about 1 hour. Then the mitochondria absorb the stain. Now we people have to remove the cheek cells from that solution and place on slide. Later, by keeping a cover slip on it, we people have to observe under electron microscope. Then you people find small granule-like structures which are in the shape of spherical or cylindrical. These are very small cell organelles which appears in spherical or in cylindrical shapes, and they scattered in the cytoplasm. If we talk about the size of the mitochondria, whenever we observe under electron microscope, we find 2 to 8 microns long. The length of the mitochondria is 2 to 8 microns. If we talk about the width, about 0.5 microns width, the mitochondria appears in the electron microscope. If we talk about mitochondria size, it is 150 times smaller than nucleus. The mitochondria is very small cell organelle. The size is just 150 times smaller than the nucleus. By listening this, you may understand how tiny it is, and it is very important for each and every cell of our body and remaining living organisms body also. And this mitochondria, if you observe the structure of the mitochondria is covered with two membranes. The mitochondria is covered by two membranes. One is outer membrane, another one is inner membrane. The outer membrane is porous in nature. What is meant by porous? Porous means it contains many pores on it. The surface of the outer membrane contains many pores. That's why we call the outer membrane as porous. And inner membrane, whenever you observe the inner membrane, it just shows some deep folds. If you see here, inner membrane is deeply folded. The inner membrane is deeply folded, and we call that foldings as cristae. Here, if you observe, you may understand. Okay, the folds, what we are calling cristae. That foldings just looks like finger-like projections, and we are calling them as cristae or cristae. And also the space between each cristae is filled with a fluid called as matrix. If you observe here, the space between cristae is filled with a fluid, and that fluid is called as matrix. If you observe here, between the space of the fingers, finger-like projections, you may find a liquid, a fluid. That fluid is called as matrix. And here, the mitochondria itself, it contains its own DNA, ribosomes. That's why it is capable to produce own proteins. It is capable to synthesize its proteins. Okay, and we also call the mitochondria as powerhouse of the cell. Why we are calling it as powerhouse of the cell? Because the cellular respiration takes place inside the cell, mainly in this cell organelle. That's why cellular respiration, which produce energy. Our body need energy. Each and every cell need energy, and that energy is produced by mitochondria. That's why we call mitochondria as powerhouse of the cell. Okay, if there is no mitochondria, are we able to do our works? Our cell, are they able to do their works? No. That's why we call the mitochondria as powerhouse of the cell. I think you understand about mitochondria and why we are calling it as powerhouse of the cell. Why we are calling as the cellular respiration takes place inside the cell in a particular cell organelle called as mitochondria. That's why we call the mitochondria as the powerhouse of the cell. Each and every cell need energy to continue to perform its activities, and that energy the cell is going to get by cellular respiration because of mitochondria. That's why we call the mitochondria as powerhouse of the cell. Once again, recall the mitochondria. Mitochondria, it's just a small cell organelle which is having a spherical or a cylindrical in shape. If you observe the mitochondria in the cytoplasm, we observe mainly some mitochondrions, they may be in the round, spherical, cylindrical, like that. The shapes may vary, and the mitochondria is 150 times